Concerns about health care are one of the top issues in the midterms, and it is no different in Ohio, an important state to President Trump's reelection. Joining us now from Lebanon, Ohio, NBC News correspondent Morgan Radford. And Morgan, you spoke with voters about this. What did they say?
Mika, we sure did, and we're standing here in Lebanon, Ohio, and this is one of the reddest districts in the state. It's also where the president is coming to hold his rally tonight. And of course, Mika, when we go to cover these rallies, we hear a lot about his populist message, even his personality and his popularity. But we don't always hear about specific policies. And there is one policy that the voters here in Ohio say he must address when he comes tonight, and that's health care. Admittedly, it's a topic that many of them say they didn't really think about until it impacted them personally, like Colleen Bowman. She has a 14-year-old daughter who was diagnosed with cancer 7 years ago, and ever since then, she's been fighting to make sure that her daughter is covered, even though she has a pre-existing condition. So she got all of her friends together here in Ohio, and they've been pounding the pavement, and they're getting politically active for the very first time this midterm election year, and it's all about this one issue, health care. Take a listen. Just from a show of hands, how many of you would say health care is one of the most important issues to you in this election? All of you.
Mm-hmm. My daughter was diagnosed with melanoma at 7, 1 year after the ACA. Sorry.
No, don't.
And it was life-changing what the ACA did for us.
She's now cancer-free. However, we now have to worry about that she will not be covered because of not having the protection of pre-existing conditions.
And so this is a new concern.
Yes.
I will say that the first thought I had after we, went through all these tests was, thank God she's protected.
Is that something you feel like you don't have anymore?
I feel like we are in serious jeopardy of having that slip away, and I worry about it every single day. I lose sleep over it. Every single thing in my life right now is fighting to make sure that she keeps insurance, because not only will it affect her health care, it will affect her financial security for the rest of her life.
From a Republican standpoint, how do you feel about affordable health care?
I think it's a necessity. I think that there are things that need to be changed about it, but I think that in the way things are going right now, if nobody is willing to talk to each other, we need some bipartisan, conversation to get things going, or we're going to lose, for the pre-existing conditions, everything, and nobody's going to be able to afford any sort of health care the way things are going right now.
My mom was diagnosed with cancer in November, so now I'm going to meetings and appointments with her and watching them ask the doctor if there's cancer drugs that are on insurance. So
they're affordable.
Right. So if you don't think it's going to happen to you, it will. It will in some shape or form affect a family member.
Were you all politically active before this midterm season?
None of us were.
Colleen and her friends say it is an all-out fight until November, but they're also not alone. 52% of Americans in a recent NBC poll found that they would not likely vote for a candidate who wants to repeal or limit the Affordable Care Act. Mika?
NBC's Morgan Radford, thank you very much. And Jeremy Peters, before we go to break, your thoughts on this?
Well, what Democrats have been trying to do for a long time is make this front and center in the midterm election. Of course, when Donald Trump is president of the United States, it's hard to get anything but him on center stage. This is a big worry. Democrats saw the key to saving a lot of these vulnerable seats, North Dakota, Florida, for example, localize those races, make them about soybeans, make them about the local schools, the tariffs. Healthcare is a way of doing that. I think it's a question of what else, though, is in voters' minds. And if it's a pocketbook issue, as healthcare so often is, sure, it really can be.
Jeremy Peters, thank you so much. And still ahead, President Trump has said he won't fire Jeff Sessions before the midterms. But that doesn't mean he isn't actively looking for his next attorney general. We're taking a look at who's on the president's reported short list next on Morning Joe.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.